I didn't think I'd ever hear her voice again. It started with a missed call, one of those numbers that still sits in your phone years after you've sworn to move on. She texted right after, "Hey, sorry, I know it's random. My Wi-Fi isn't working again. You always used to fix it. Could you maybe help?" I stared at the message for a long time, not because I didn't know what to say, but because I did know. Because part of me had been waiting for an excuse like this for years. I told my girlfriend I'd be out for a bit, helping an old friend. That's what I said. But the truth is, I was already halfway out the door before I finished the sentence. When I got her place, nothing had really changed. Same tiny apartment near downtown Seattle. Same framed photos from the life we used to have. Us at Pike Place. Us at a Christmas market. Us with that ridiculous rescue dog she made me fall in love with. She opened the door and smiled. It was that awkward, polite kind of smile people wear at funerals. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey," I answered. We stood there for a second too long, both pretending we didn't notice. The Wi-Fi was easy. A loose cable. 10 minutes, maybe less. But the silence after was harder to fix. I was packing up my tools when she said, "You can stay for coffee if you want. It's just weirdly nice to see you." And just like that, 5 years of distance collapsed into one stupid cup of coffee. We talk about safe things at first. Work, her new job at a marketing firm, how Seattle's traffic still sucks. Then she asked about my life, about my girlfriend. And I lied. I told her everything was perfect. That night, when I got home, I couldn't sleep. Not because of guilt, but because her laugh kept echoing in my head. The way she said my name. Like no one else ever quite got it right. The next morning, she texted me. "Thanks again for fixing it. The Wi-Fi is still working. I owe you coffee next time." I stared at that line, "next time," like we hadn't already said all our goodbyes 5 years ago. I typed deleted, typed again. Finally sent. "You don't owe me anything, but I won't say no to coffee." That was the start. At first, it was small things. A meme she thought I'd like. A song that reminded her of the old days. A photo of her dog asleep under a blanket. It felt innocent. But if I'm honest, I knew what was happening. You can always tell when you're standing too close to fire. You just pretend you don't feel the heat. One night, I was at my girlfriend's apartment. She'd fallen asleep beside me, and my phone buzzed. "You ever miss it?" I stared at the message, the glow of the screen reflecting off the ceiling. "Miss what?" I wrote, the quiet, the way we used to talk without trying so hard. It wasn't what she said, it was the way she said it. Soft, familiar, dangerous. I didn't reply, but I didn't delete it either. After that, we started talking more. Voice notes, random late-night calls. Sometimes about the past, sometimes about nothing at all. She told me she was trying to date again, said it felt like pretending to laugh at jokes that weren't funny. I told her my girlfriend was nice. Good even. Just distant sometimes. And in that quiet space between our confessions, something old started to breathe again. It wasn't love. Not yet. It was memory dressed up as comfort. It was the way she said, "You still sound the same." Or how she'd send a photo of the skyline from her balcony and say, "Remember that storm we watched from here?" We both knew what we were doing and what we were risking. But we didn't stop. One night, after too many texts and too little sleep, she sent, "You know, if I close my eyes, it's like we never left." I stared at it for a long time. I could have told her to stop. I should have. Instead, I typed, "Yeah, sometimes I wish we hadn't." And that was the first real lie I told my girlfriend, the one she never heard. It started with a phone call that lasted 3 hours. No reason. No emergency. Just her voice on the other end of the line, laughing about some new coworker who microwaved fish in the office kitchen. I remember leaning back on my couch, smiling without realizing it, the way you do when something feels easy again. It had been years since anything felt easy. After that, the calls became a habit. Not every night, but often enough that my girlfriend started to notice. She'd say, "You're smiling at your phone a lot lately," in that half-joking tone that's never really a joke. And I'd say, "It's just work stuff," or "an old friend." She'd nod, but I could feel her studying me. The silence between us got heavier. Even the TV seemed louder. The thing about emotional affairs, if you can even call it that, is that you don't see the line when you're crossing it. You don't say, "I'm going to betray someone today." You just keep talking to the person who makes you feel seen. And one night, I realized I'd memorized the sound of her breathing through the phone. That soft inhale she made before laughing. The way she'd whisper, "You still there?" when I went quiet. We started sending each other photos. Harmless ones at first. Her coffee mug. My view from the office. Then one night she sent one of herself at home. Messy bun. No makeup. Oversized sweatshirt. Just her. Looking real. I typed, "You look good," then erased it. Sent nice lighting instead. She replied with a heart emoji anyway. My girlfriend's birthday came that weekend. I bought her a bracelet she'd shown me months before. She smiled when I gave it to her, but the moment felt hollow, like a movie scene I was watching instead of living. That night, when she went to bed early, I sat on the balcony with a beer. My phone buzzed. "Can't sleep? You awake?" I stared at the message, then looked back at the closed bedroom door. And for reasons I still can't explain, I replied, "Yeah, I'm here." We talked about everything, the kind of late-night honesty that only happens in darkness. She told me she missed how I used to hold her hand, even when driving. I told her I missed the way she hummed songs without knowing the lyrics. It wasn't sexual, but it wasn't innocent either. There's a kind of intimacy that's worse than cheating, the kind where someone starts living inside your head again. A week later, she called me crying. Her date had gone badly. The guy ghosted her after dinner. I didn't think. I just drove over. She opened the door with red eyes and a shaky smile. And for a moment, standing there in her doorway, I saw the version of us that could have been, if we hadn't broken everything years ago. But I didn't touch her, didn't even sit down. I just said, "You'll be okay," and walked away before I could make it worse. When I got home, my girlfriend was waiting in the living room. The look on her face said everything. "Who were you with?" "A friend." "That friend have a name?" I froze. There it was, the edge of the cliff. "It's not what you think," I said. "Then tell me what it is." And I couldn't, because the truth was, I didn't even know anymore. I wish I could say I told her everything right then, that I stood up like a decent man and admitted what I'd done or hadn't done, but I didn't. I just sat there, hand shaking, and said the one sentence cowards always say, "It's complicated." Her silence was worse than shouting. She just looked at me for a long time, then whispered, "It's always complicated right before it's over." She didn't cry. That made it worse. She just stood up, walked to the bedroom, and closed the door. No slam, no noise, just the quiet sound of something ending. I slept on the couch that night, staring at the ceiling, counting every breath she took on the other side of the wall. The next morning, she made coffee for both of us. Black, just the way I like it. She set the mug down in front of me and said softly, "Is it her?" I wanted to lie, but the truth slipped out before I could stop it. "Yeah." She nodded, eyes wet but calm. "I knew it. I just wanted to hear you say it." And that's when I broke. Not because she caught me, but because she deserved better than the half-life I'd been giving her. That day was quiet. She packed a bag while I sat at the kitchen table, uselessly scrolling through old messages from my ex-wife. One of them read, "You always fix things for everyone else. Who fixes you?" The irony hit like a punch. I didn't call my ex that day. Didn't text her either. I just sat there, surrounded by the ghosts of both relationships, one dying, one already dead. By evening, my girlfriend came out of the bedroom with her suitcase. She stopped by the door, looked at me, and said, "You don't have to apologize. I think you just missed who you were with her. That's not love, that's nostalgia." Then she smiled, the saddest smile I've ever seen, and left. The apartment felt different after that. Too clean, too quiet. Even the hum of the refrigerator felt loud. Around midnight, I opened my phone and scrolled to my ex-wife contact. For 10 minutes, I just stared at her name. Then I typed, "You were right. I broke something I can't fix." And hit send. She read it. No reply. 2 days later, she finally called. No small talk. Just, she left, and she? I didn't ask how she knew. She always knew. "Yeah," I said. "I'm sorry." For what? For still caring. There was a pause, the kind that stretches into something more than silence. Then she said, almost gently, "You can't fix what was never meant to stay broken," and hung up. I haven't heard from her since. Sometimes I catch myself listening for her voice, not in person, but in songs and radio ads, in the rhythm of passing strangers. And sometimes late at night, I find myself wishing I could go back to that day, the day she called about the Wi-Fi, and just not answer. Would that have saved me? Maybe. Or maybe some mistakes are just part of who we become. Because the truth is, I didn't fall back in love with her. I fell in love with who I was when she looked at me like I still mattered. And that's something no one can fix. Not even me. It's been 8 months since that night. 8 months since I sat in my silent apartment, staring at the mug she left behind, lipstick faintly smudged on the rim, like an accidental signature. I still haven't washed it. Funny, the things we keep. Not the photos. Not the clothes. Just a little ghost, a mug, a playlist. The smell of her shampoo that still lingers on a towel I can't bring myself to throw away. Life goes on, though. I still go to work. Still grab my same burnt coffee every morning from the cafe downstairs. People ask about my girlfriend, and I just say, "We're not together anymore," as if it's no big deal. It is. But no one wants to hear that kind of truth during small talk. My ex-wife? She moved. I only found out through a mutual friend. Apparently, she got a new job across town. Apparently, she's doing great. Good for her. That's what I tell myself. Some nights, I scroll back through our old messages. Not because I miss her, but because I miss who I was when I wrote them. The guy who still believed that love, once broken, could be fixed with the right words. I don't believe that anymore. Now I know that sometimes love ends quietly, not with betrayal or shouting, but with the soft sound of two people realizing they've already said everything worth saying. I tried dating again. It didn't work. Every conversation felt like pretending, like trying to fit a new picture into an old frame. Once, over dinner, a woman asked me, "What was your last relationship like?" And I said, "It felt like trying to rebuild a house on ashes." She didn't text me back after that. Can't say I blame her. A few weeks ago, my phone buzzed with a familiar number. For a second, my heart jumped. Stupid reflex. But it wasn't her. It was a new tenant at her old address. Apparently, a package had arrived with my name on it. When I went to pick it up, I saw her name still faintly scratched onto the mailbox, like time had tried to erase her, but didn't quite finish the job. The package? Just an old photo album we'd made years ago. Our wedding vacations, the life we once had. I didn't open it. I just put it on the top shelf of my closet, next to the mug. I'm not angry anymore. Not at her. Not at myself. Not even at how it all ended. Because somewhere between her Wi-Fi breaking and my heart doing the same, I realized something. We weren't meant to last. We were meant to remember. Some people walk into your life to stay. Others come back to remind you that you once knew how to feel. And maybe that's enough. Last night, I dreamed I was fixing that same router again. She was sitting on the couch, laughing about something on TV. The room smelled like coffee and spring rain. It felt like peace. Then the dream faded, and I woke up alone. But this time, I didn't feel empty, just quiet. Like maybe, finally, I'd stopped waiting for the phone to ring. We didn't get back together. We didn't even say goodbye properly. But I think, in some strange way, we helped each other remember what love feels like and what it costs. And that's the story. Not dramatic, not tragic, just real. Maybe that's all it ever needed to be.